man, 21, hospitalized due to risky sounding sex act involving a USB cable. 21-year-old man ended up needing emergency surgery after a sexual experiment with a USB cable went horribly wrong. The unnamed college student inserted the object into his urethra with a tube in the penis that carries urine out of the body and cum as part of a dangerous practice called sounding. But the thick cable, which he had inserted in a U shape, leaving both ends hanging outside of him. Brother, what the fuck?
What? What the fuck?
Had gotten stuck, requiring an urgent trip to A&E. American medics who reported the case said their patient admitted to having inserted objects like cotton swabs and wire cables in a similar manner before. But on this occasion, he found himself unable to extract the USB cable. Scans show how the man had pushed the looped cable so deep inside his urethra that it had entered his bladder, where it then became lodged. Writing in the journal Curious, the medic said the initial attempts by staff to pull the cable out by hand were unsuccessful. As a result, they decided to anesthesize the man and attempted to extract the cable using special tools inserted into the urethra. How does that happen? If you insert the cable in a U shape so both of the ends are sticking outside of you, how does so much of it get pushed inside? Like, what are you doing, guy? What are you doing? This proved successful, and the cable was gently pulled out until it could be snipped with scissors and each section extracted more easily. After keeping him in hospital for a week for monitoring, the man was then discharged with painkillers and antibiotics. 1 month later, he returned to the hospital for a follow-up, which showed he had suffered no long-term problems from his ordeal. Writing in the report, the medics noted self-insertion of objects into the urethra for sexual or other reasons is rare but can cause serious harm. Known risks include an infection, which can in turn lead to life-threatening sepsis as permanent damage to the reproductive organs. If inserted objects reach the bladder, it also carries the potential of rupturing the organ. Sounding is a sexual kink whereby people, mostly men, insert long, thin objects into their urethra. Examples of objects previously used include forks, telephone cables, metal piping, nail clippers?
What?
Okay. An Allen key, needles, olive seeds? Brother, you should not grow an olive tree out of your penis. What am I reading? Batteries, a skipping rope, a coyote rib? Okay, hold on. I gotta give the guy a pass for a coyote rib. Cause like, to be fair, if you go outside and you hunt a coyote and you shoot it and you murder it with a gun, it only makes sense to like rip out its heart and eat it and then rip out its bones and shove them in your dick. Like it only makes sense if you think about it. And even a decapitated snake.
Impossible.
Most famously done for sexual pleasure, the act is carried out by people with serious mental health conditions as well as men undertaking an ill-advised attempt to maintain an erection. What kind of low IQ specimen do you have to be to think that inserting something into your urethra is a good way to maintain an erection? I have known many a man to talk about his erectile dysfunction issues, and not a one of them was ever like, Kirsche, I feel like I should insert something into my urethra to fix this issue. Like, not a single one of them. UK experts have previously reported a rise in the number of men having sounding issues over the past few years. Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense then. If the UK is the one reporting that the men having sounding issues is increasing, that just makes sense. You know, they're like Pakistani and Indian, you know? That makes sense being from the UK. They have blamed it in the surge in men looking to expand their sexual activities and enhance their sexual experiences. How many men perform sounding is unknown. However, the NHS in England reported treating 258 cases where patients had a foreign body stuck in their urethra last financial year. The vast majority of these cases, 231, were in men and with an average patient age of 47. Sar, I redeemed the urethra! Sar, help! If you think about it, when you have to pee, you get a woody, so if you can't get hard, blocking the pee would help. What? B-Jam, thank you. Inserting to maintain an erection makes sense. Primates, human apes are the only mammals that do not have a penile bone instead of using blood pressure. But it doesn't make sense, because even if you have something hard propping up the core of your penis, the outside is still gonna be like Gumby and flaccid. So it's not the same, man. But let's see if this article is correct. I found this from 2014 about the decapitated snake. A straight male friend practices sounding and has for years. I'm pretty sure he does other things that he isn't telling anyone about, not even his wife. He has some medical questions about sounding, and I'm a pediatric nurse.
Hello, nurse.
So he brought his concerns to me, but the questions are totally outside of my area of expertise. Nothing emergency room worthy is going on, but he needs answers and refuses to speak with his regular MD about sounding. I'm wondering how to find an MD in his area who would be knowledgeable and non-judgmental. The National Coalition for Sexual Freedom maintains a kink-aware professionals directory on its website. The doctors, counselors, lawyers, real estate agents? Why do you need kink-aware real estate agents? What the fuck does that mean?
It's free real estate.
Aren't vetted by the NCSF, so inclusion on the list isn't a recommendation, but it would be a good place for your friend to start looking for an irregular MD in the meantime. I asked a doc for some thoughts about the risks and rewards of sounding. Sounding refers to the insertion of foreign bodies into the urethra, said Dr. Stephen H. King. Really? The sounding professional is also named Stephen King, like the horror book writer? Really? A board-certified urologist. Under controlled medical conditions, urethral sounds, which are typically curved and sterilized metallic or plastic rods, are gently inserted into the urethra, pee hole, in order to dilate a stricter, narrowing, that blocks the flow of urine out of the bladder. The lining of the urethra is typically very sensitive and delicate, and this procedure can be quite uncomfortable for most people. But not everyone with a metallic or plastic rod sticking out of their urethra right now is experiencing discomfort. Some people, likely a significant minority, derive sexual pleasure from urethral stimulation, said King. This includes both men and women. Sounders have been known to insert a wide variety of objects, including, but not limited to, catheters, tubes, beads, pencils, batteries, drill bits, and even the head of a decapitated snake.
Snake, are you okay? Snake?
Yes, the latter has been reported. I think we all need a moment to process that last detail. Someone found the head of a decapitated snake, or someone found a snake and decapitated it and thought, you know what? I'm going to stick this in my urethra. Okay, that's cool and all, but I want the story about how that happened, and I'm upset that this article didn't have it. What the fuck have I just stumbled upon? I don't know if anybody read anything, but I opened the National Coalition for Sexual Freedom website, and the first thing that comes up is November is Transgender Awareness Month. And then Pope Leo updates marriage rules for 1.4 billion Catholics. And then Goodlettsville business cited for alleged sexual encounters. And then celebrate Polyamory Day on November 23rd. People who are polyamorous are entitled to the same rights, privileges, and governmental support that others have. Absolutely not. Fuck off with your weird shit. The New Statesman, the choking porn ban is not enough? Research indicates that strangulation is the second most common cause of stroke in women under 40, and that is more dangerous than waterboarding. A form of torture that's prohibited by international law. Given these potential consequences, some sexual violence experts argue that the sexual strangulation can never be consensual. Women can't consent to the long-term harm caused by it, such as impaired cognitive functioning and memory. Andrea Simon, director of End Violence Against Women Coalition, told me, "There's no such thing as safe strangulation." I got a question. I'm raising my hand. I have a question. Why is choking considered incredibly unsafe, but it's okay to stick something like the size of a fire hydrant inside of your anus and have your anus insides prolapse, and then your insides will never be the same again? Can I ask why the choking is somehow placed on a higher bar than this? And also, can I also, hello, yeah, I'm raising my hand again. I have another question, actually. I'm not even gonna mention the Japanese and what goes on in Jav pornography. And I'm not even gonna get into, like, the questionable consent rules that rules over Eastern European pornography, where, like, you can tell that that woman is drugged and she doesn't really know what's going on, but we're just gonna gloss over that entirely. And I'm just gonna ask, like, What about the women who get their tits nailed to 2x4s? I feel like driving nails through your titty flesh is also probably permanently scarring. Maybe there's some other things that should be a higher priority. Maybe I don't know. Like I'm just a retarded cartoon fox, but like some of these things seem like they should probably be addressed first. If you're gonna start going down that route, you know, like they're sterile nails. Gee, maybe we shouldn't do things to the body it wasn't designed to do. Maybe can we ask, right? Like if we're gonna talk about choking, all right? If we're gonna start talking about how bad and demeaning and worse than waterboarding choking during sex is, all right? Okay, I got what about all the BDSM porn videos? And there's a copious amount of them you can even find on Pornhub, so it's not like you gotta go digging. Where the women are whipped until they bleed. What about that? That seems like it might be a tad bit worse than fucking choking, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Mods ban the streamer. And this website continues. More experienced kinksters have a responsibility to help newbies. For more consent resources, check out NCSF's consent counts page. I mean, yeah, I agree. Consent does count, but like, how are you defining newbies here? You know, like what BDSM players can teach all lovers. Okay. BDSM play, doms don't ask subs, is this okay? They've planned their play beforehand and through verbal agreement or written contracts already understand their subs limits. For non-BDSM lovers, whether or not they negotiate contracts, 3 simple words can take care of most communication. 3 words are, is this okay? That's actually a good point. If you ask, is this okay, in the middle of like a BDSM thing, you're gonna turn your submissive completely off. But in a normal situation, that might be something you should ask. Noelle LaBeouf, the Canada-based executive director of Claw, a full-time salaried position, how? Said it was impossible to get the money back because the Westin changed ownership. Additionally, he said the new owners were not fans of hosting Claw. The new ownership came in and said, yeah, we don't like what you're doing or what you stand for. So out of there we went, LaBeouf said. Okay. Cosmopolitan, what is ethical non-monogamy? Experts explain what you need to know. I don't think they do. Actually. I also find it really funny that it says, please take the choking survey with an exclamation point. It only takes 5 to 15 minutes. Please participate in the choking survey. The survey will take approximately 15 minutes of your time. Questions will ask about your beliefs and attitudes towards sexual choking, as well as about specific experiences if you've engaged in choking. Okay, all right. Take the test. I don't know about all that.
A few moments later.
Have I ever choked someone or been choked in a sexual or erotic context? I never thought about it, but there's gotta be some kind of like submissive men that enjoy being choked by women, but what a weird thing to think about. What a weird thing to think about. Who does the choking? I do the choking. I am the man who comes.
I am the danger.
I am choked, or both. I like to choke and being choked. Okay, I am the choked. I am the raped. Who was the first person who you engaged in choking with? A lover? A partner spouse, a boyfriend girlfriend, a play partner, an ex, a first time encounter? That's scary, what the fuck? A friend, an acquaintance, a co-worker, a neighbor, or a sex worker. If your neighbor's choking you, I feel like you got some problems and maybe you should not be taking this. I mean, I guess it would be boyfriend, girlfriend, right? Like, I feel like lover, boyfriend, girlfriend are like interchangeable, but like, whatever, man. What was your age the first time you engaged in choking? The fact that less than 18 is an option is terrifying. That is actually scary, brother. Holy shit. Did you participate in sexual relationship community activities prior to your first time engaging in choking, i.e. attending a party, event, or educational workshops? Hold up! Wait a minute! Did you participate in sexual community activities such as attending a party, event, or educational workshop? Sometimes I forget that there are people degenerate enough to have like the BDSM parties where you all go to like someone's house and you can like whip each other and spank each other and go to private rooms and fuck. I had a friend who went to a lot of those in Connecticut, actually. No, I did not. Pardon me, you have the perfect neck for choking. It's like a weird vampire thing, right? How often have you engaged in choking ever? I like how it's once in my life, several times in my life, once every few years, once a year, once every few months, once a month, once every few weeks, once a week, once every few days, or once... Can you imagine getting choked every day like you're fucking Bart Simpson? What the fuck? Putting the Connect in Connecticut. Only once a day. Yeah, where are the people going, man, it happens multiple times a day. Where's that option? I guess it would be once in my life, question mark. How many times do you engage in choking during an average or your only session? I guess it'd just be one time, right? I mean, I was like, it's so fucking long ago, dude. What was the primary reason for being choked or choking the first time? The other person wanted it. I wanted to feel dominant or submissive. I wanted the edgy feeling of risk. I like breath play in other ways. I heard others talking about it and was curious. Dude, I don't fucking remember. It was too long ago. I was too long ago, man. You're blown away that this is an actual survey. It's an actual survey at charlotte.edu. So, like, it's a legitimate survey. Can you pick, like, multiple options? No? Okay. All right. Okay. I don't know. Another reason. I don't remember. Where did you get safety and consent information about choking? I didn't get any. Online sex educators and blogs, videos, and articles. Mainstream TV or films. That's bad. Adult entertainment or porn. Erotica and fan fiction. YouTube. Social media. How-to or sex ed books. Friends, partners, in-person sex educators. Kink educational group presentation. Mental health professional. Or a medical professional. I'm gonna say, yeah, I didn't get fucking any, man. I don't remember how I learned that from the side is safe, from the front is murder. I don't remember where I learned that. I've just known that for ages. Did you discuss the risks involved in choking prior to doing it? The first fucking option. The first fucking option. I was not given the chance to discuss the risks of choking prior to doing it. I shouldn't laugh at that because that means that someone did something during a sexual encounter that they didn't previously discuss with their partner, which means that their partner couldn't reasonably consent to it. But it's still just so fucking goofy to read like that. Oh my god. I don't discuss the risks of choking before choking someone. What an asshole. I don't discuss the risks of choking before I ask to be choked. What an idiot. I say there is a risk from choking too hard, too long, or pressing on the windpipe before doing it. I say there is a risk from choking too hard, too long, or pressing on the windpipe when I ask for it. I have a thorough discussion of the health and mental health risks prior to choking someone. I have a thorough discussion of the health and mental health risks prior to asking someone to choke me. To be fair, if you're in a, like, relationship, you're in the safest environment that you could possibly be for trying something potentially dangerous like this. There are people who are fucking, like, just psychotic in the head and will do this with complete strangers. But if you're in a relationship and you're talking to someone about this, before you even, like, get naked and start foreplay shit, you should be talking about, like, the lines and the limits of, like, this is fine, but do not do this, right? And those are boundaries that should be respected in a healthy relationship. And you should definitely be discussing that way beforehand. What if you want to be spontaneous and quirky? I mean, again, if you had a conversation about this previously, then your partner would know what things he could reasonably do in a spontaneous manner that you would be okay with, right? Just because, like, you have a conversation about, oh, like, I'm okay with X, Y, and Z, that doesn't mean he's always going to do X, Y, and Z, right? He can be spontaneous and surprise you with the Y sometimes that he doesn't normally do. Now, the critical catastrophe, thank you. You had an ex that liked the chokey but could never bring yourself to actually do it. It always felt so weird and wrong. There's something in women's brains that really likes to feel safe. And the way that you feel safe with your man is knowing that he is very capable of overpowering you and doing immense amounts of damage to you, but he doesn't because he loves you, you know? So him expressing the amount of strength and power that he has in like a safe, controlled environment really gets the women's engines running. And some women can like overdose on this weird dopamine hit, and that's when they go out and do incredibly dangerous, crazy fucking shit that someone should snap them out of, like rape baiting. That is probably the wildest and most horrendous kink that I have ever read about. Why do they keep voting for politicians who allow dangerous men to roam free? Because when women have like what people like to call a rape fetish, it's not actually a rape fetish. It is a very controlled environment with someone doing things that they actually want them to do. But if you overdose on porn brain, you can accidentally remove the reality from that and start just thinking about rape in general instead of the controlled, safe environment with someone who loves you and knows your limits, right? I'm just gonna say, I have a thorough discussion of the health and mental health risks prior to asking someone, because that's just the sane thing to do. How comfortable are you discussing your limits involved in choking? I feel very comfortable. If you want to do something, you have to be comfortable discussing your limits, because the other person has to feel safe in what they know they can and can't do. How do you typically get consent to choke someone or be choked? Again, the top answer, choking happens without any discussion about it. That's bad! That's bad! You don't do things sexually with someone before discussing it! We agree on a safe word to stop what's happening. That's reasonable. Can you check multiple things? You can, okay. So you should do that. I put my hand on their neck and see if they're okay with it. I put their hand on my neck and see if they do it. I feel like if I had a himbo and I like moved his hands to anywhere on my body, he would get confused. And it would be cute at first, but then I would be like, please get the hint, man. I'll show them pornography or erotica. Ask if they like rough sex. Ask them if they want to be choked. Tell them I want to choke them. Tell them I want to be choked. Tell them how hard I want to be choked. Or ask them how hard they want to be choked. Okay? Do you enjoy choking? I mean, I don't know. Question mark? Is like, it's been fucking a gajillion years. It doesn't seem like that exciting. Shallow breathing can be fun sometimes, I guess, but like I purposefully do that to myself. Like I just kind of slow my breathing. And that's not like choking me. That's like a different feeling entirely. I don't know. I don't know, man. Just say yes. We all know the answer. You're in denial. I don't think I would even really need the choking. Like, just feeling a guy's hands on my neck is nice. Especially if you got the nice hands with, like, the veins and the nice tendons, man. Ugh. End result is the same. Fox deprived of oxygen. What do you mean? How do you enjoy choking? Being choked during sexual activities, choking my partner during sexual activities, being choked during kink activities, choking my partner during kink activities, being choked outside of any erotic activities. Okay, hold on. Wait a minute. What enjoyment would you get out of choking outside of sexual activities? Wouldn't that just be domestic violence? Wouldn't that just be a domestic if you were like, yeah, I want to choke you, but not sexually? The grocery store choking. That's really weird. That's really weird. I guess it would be the first one. That makes the most sense. Fuck, you can check multiple. Why do you enjoy choking? I like the rush from being choked. I like making my partner feel the rush from being choked. I like the power and control of choking someone. I like the feeling of submission from being choked. Well, I mean, I am a woman. I like the risk that comes with choking someone, and I like the risk that comes with being choked. Nah, the risk isn't good. How many years have you engaged in choking? What a fucking question. And it goes from less than 1 year to 21 plus. That's crazy. 21. Can you imagine if there was somebody answering this that had 21 plus years of daily choking? I'm a Simpsons fan. Do you have a plan in case anything goes wrong while engaging in choking? Yes. Just die. What did they mean by this? What is your plan if something goes wrong while engaging in choking? Stop the choking. No, continue. Call 911, give CPR, go to the doctor, call a friend, other. Just die. How serious a risk is loss of consciousness when engaging in choking? It should be no risk. You should unironically not be at risk of losing consciousness. Call a defense lawyer. Why would you call a friend? I don't know, man.
Will you help me hide a body? Come on, we can't delay.
Oh god, the serious risk goes from no risk, low risk, medium, high, and ultra hazardous risk. That's really funny. What health risks do you think people should be informed of before engaging in choking? Check all that apply.
You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl.
Memory issues, headaches, motor control issues, more likely to feel sad, lonely, anxious, and depressed. I don't know. I'm just gonna say other. Don't choke that hard, bro. Like, what the fuck?
Whoa, Squidward, you're choking!
If you engage in some kind of like power dynamic thing, like choking is in like a sexual manner, because you're already fucking crazy if it's non-sexual, so we're not even gonna talk about those people. If you have a feeling of like being more sad and lonely and anxious or depressed after one of these like power exchange things, that means the other person is not doing aftercare correctly. You should not feel sad or depressed or uncared for after something like this if you wanted it, because the other person should be reassuring you how much they do care about you afterwards. Aftercare for the dom is often forgotten about. Yeah, it's just as important for the dom as it is for the sub, because like the guy could be the type of person that feels bad if they're doing something that, you know, is potentially harmful. And you want to make them feel reassured that like, no, you're not actually hurting me. Yes, I am wanting to do this with you. I'm enjoying this. You can see the physical results of me enjoying this, right? Like everyone needs that kind of reassurance afterwards. The mutual aftercare thing makes far too much sense. No wonder it's become such rare knowledge. Well, it's like, from my perspective, right? And this is just like my personal perspective. If you're going to enter into any kind of like dom sub dynamics, it should be with someone that you ultimately trust. There's obviously a lot of promiscuity in that kind of like realm of things, and I don't understand how that's possible, right? Like, you already have to have an immense amount of trust with someone in a regular relationship, but if you're going to trust them to do something like, I don't know, slap your ass until it bruises, right? You have to trust that they're not going to go too far and do something that actually harms you. You're going to have to trust that if they do something that hurts, they're going to stop when you ask them to. And I cannot fathom trying to do that with someone who's like a complete stranger or someone you don't even know. And it only makes sense to do it with someone you have implicit trust with. And if you have someone that you have implicit trust with and you already love in a regular relationship context, wouldn't it just make sense to give them reassurance afterwards when you do something that's like a little bit abnormal? Wouldn't that just make sense to be like, I know you just treated me like I'm a piece of property, but I know that's not how you feel regularly, and that's not how you treat me normally, and I don't want you to feel like you're a terrible person and I think of you differently because of the way you just treated me in a sexual manner. Or some such, right? Like, it just makes sense. As a dom, you can echo that aftercare for the dom is often lacking. You had to learn how to communicate with serious partners that you needed that. Communication is important in any dynamic. It's incredibly important. It's incredibly important, and to establish those lines of consent and the lines of boundaries and knowing that the people won't cross them, so fucking important to do. A lot of people are just like, well, I want it to be spontaneous. I don't want to have to talk about it, because if I talk about it, then, you know, maybe they're just doing it because, you know, I wanted it and they don't want to do it. That's why you talk about things. That's why you communicate, man, you know? And like, you don't have to ask for it in the moment. You can have these conversations way before anything sexy even happens. And then they'll have that in mind for when you have an encounter, right? It's crazy that this organization simultaneously tries to tell people to have casual sex with people they don't know. And also that choking is evil and needs to be banned. Well, to be fair, if you put yourself in the mindset of an organization that's like, promiscuity and sexual freedom is a good thing, you should have sex with as many people as possible, they should also be advocating for no choking, right? Because if they're advocating for you having sex with complete strangers and people you don't know, it just seems that it would be normal to not let a stranger choke you, right? Like, that actually makes sense. What's something you wish others knew about choking? Well, I feel this whole conversation's kind of there. Do you think more people are talking about choking these days? If so, why do you think that is? Probably a lot of people watching too much porn thinking that it's more normal than it actually is, coupled with there are guys who pretend to be dominant because they just want to be able to abuse a woman instead of actually falling into a dominant role, which would have them be a caring person. You know? Man, there's still more questions. This is so long. What are your sexual relationship practices? Kink, BDSM, polyamory, non-monogamy, relationship anarchy? Swing lifestyle, monogamy, leather fetish, cross-dressing, monogamy. I'm a little degenerate, but I'm not a full-fledged fucking freak, dude. What the fuck is relationship anarchy? I don't know. When did you start participating in online sexual and relationship community platforms? Never. That's degenerate. When did you start participating in person at sexual and relationship community meetings, clubs, munches, parties, or events? Never. However, I did have a friend who really wanted me to go to a local BDSM club with her. And she was like, even if you feel a little uneasy, you can come to the munches with me and we can talk to the people first. And she was like really gung-ho on wanting to do things to me at said BDSM club. And I was like, that, you know, I'm not into women. You know that, right? Like, I like dick. Why does it always wrap back around to sex with you? Sir, are you lost? Do you see what I'm looking at on my screen? Question mark? She liked you. I know she liked me, and she was a very pretty lady. She was gorgeous, but I'm not sexually attracted to women. She's even turning the women gay. Kirsche's used to attracting lesbians, but not the dominant ones. No, she was definitely, well, she was a switch, so I mean, she could be dominant. Is the Kirsche into BDSM? Do not the Kirsche? Wait, so she was the lesbian equivalent of a fuckboy? She did the, like, party favor stuff with her significant others when she had them. And that's a little wild to me. What best describes your gender identity? Check all that apply, by the way. Woman, man, gender, queer, trans, non-binary, agender, questioning. Another not listed. Oh, you can't even fill in the blank? Okay, I'm just gonna check all of them. What best describes your sexual orientation now? Check all that apply. Asexual, bisexual, gay, lesbian, heterosexual, heteroflexible. Heteroflexible isn't real. What? Queer, pansexual, another not listed. Himbosexual. Yeah. So DL then. Yeah, that's just gay with extra steps, man. Heteroflexible. The fuck? Which racial or ethnic categories do you most identify with now? Select all that apply. I am black. Have you been diagnosed with a neurodiverse condition? Check all that apply. Autism spectrum, ADHD, dyscalculia? What the fuck is dyscalculia? I've never heard of that. Dyslexia and dyspraxia. Other. Undiagnosed, but pretty sure. Do you live in the US? Yes. No. Korshovo. How did you hear about this survey? I was Googling degenerate things. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about erotic and sexual choking?
No. No, I don't think I will.
Nah. Nah, I think I'm good, bro. I think I'm all good. Oh, fuck, it just... I thought it was gonna, like, ask for my email and then ask me to submit it, but it auto-submitted? I was not gonna actually submit it with those shitpost fucking answers! Holy fuck! Why would you have it auto-submit? There's gonna be so much tainted data! It's been submitted without consent! Where's my aftercare? I was genuinely, because they had like all these warnings at the beginning about using your data. So I was like, oh, they're gonna ask for like your name and like the state you live in and your email. No, it just auto fucking submits. Just fuck send it. Korshovo is now real somewhere on some form. Oh, fuck. Kirsche is why all sociology studies suck. Do you... I'm dying. I wonder how many people have done the same thing. Fuck, man. She has all the sexualities. Reddit can't ever hate her again. True. Don't let this fox near a keyboard. This is why social sciences should not be taken seriously. 100%. This survey non-consensually choked me because it auto-submitted my form. Korshova is going to appear in some college students' article. They're going to get to my form and hopefully throw it out because it's definitely a shit post.